In the shadows where truth and tales intertwine, we find the thrilling, the chilling, the downright spine-tingling. From the paranormal to the peculiar, every echo has a story. Dare to delve into the unexpected, the unexplained? Brace yourself, for you're about to embark on a journey where fear meets fascination. Stay tuned if you dare, for stories that will make your heart race and your mind ponder. Welcome to the realm of the eerie, the realm of the unknown. And remember, like and subscribe, if you dare. My name is Dennis, and I've been an FBI special agent for over a decade. I've encountered the bizarre, the macabre, and the downright inexplicable. Yet no case has ever struck me quite like the one I'm about to share. It was the autumn of 2019 when I received a call that led me down a path of darkness and mystery. The call was about a missing high school cheerleader, Emily, from the small town of Ravenswood. The peculiar part? Her friends swore up and down that a monster in the woods had taken her. I'm no stranger to tales of the supernatural, often spun by overactive imaginations. But something about this case, about Emily's friends, about their fear, it was palpable, real. So there I was, packed up and headed to Ravenswood, a town gripped by fear and rumors of a monster. Despite my years of experience, I couldn't shake the feeling. This case felt different from the beginning. I arrived in Ravenswood and immediately felt a chill in the air. The town was quiet, almost too quiet, its silence punctuated by the rustle of autumn leaves underfoot. The locals were tight-lipped, their eyes darting like frightened animals as I asked about Emily's disappearance. It was as if the entire town was holding its breath, waiting for something dreadful to unfold. The friends who reported the monster were a group of 5 cheerleaders. They stuck together, their faces pale and their voices trembling as they retold their tale of a creature snatching Emily into the night. Yet, something about their story didn't quite add up. The details were blurry, their accounts inconsistent. It was as if they were reciting lines from a script they hadn't quite memorized. I couldn't help but feel a growing sense of suspicion. There was a secret here, lurking beneath the surface. I was determined to find out what they were hiding. Armed with a flashlight and a sense of impending dread, I ventured into the darkness. The woods encircling Ravenswood carried an uncanny silence, a hush that hung heavy in the air like an unvoiced secret. The trees, ancient and gnarled, stood as silent sentinels, their branches stretched out in a spectral dance with the wind. As I ventured deeper, the forest closed in around me, its dense foliage swallowing the moonlight, leaving me with nothing but the narrow beam of my flashlight to guide me through. The crunch of leaves under my boots echoed in the stillness of the night, each step taking me further into the heart of the mystery. The forest was alive with shadows, each one seeming to hide a secret of its own. The deeper I went, the more I felt the woods closing in around me, the darkness growing thicker, the silence more profound. In the midst of this eerie solitude, my flashlight's beam caught on something unusual. Strange symbols, crudely painted in white, adorned the tree trunks around me. They were unlike anything I had seen before, a language of the unknown that seemed to pulse with an unsettling energy. The symbols were cryptic, their meaning elusive, yet they bore an uncanny resemblance to the cheerleaders' insignia. I traced the symbols with my fingers, their texture rough against my skin. They were fresh, the paint still slightly tacky to touch. The woods seemed to breathe around me, the wind whispering through the branches as if carrying a message, a warning perhaps. But what were they trying to communicate? What secrets were etched in the bark of these trees? The further I ventured, the more frequent these symbols became, and the more potent the sense of unease grew. It was as if the woods themselves were trying to tell me something, their whispers growing louder in my ears, their secrets seeping into my skin. They added to the growing sense of unease that crawled up my spine. Hours passed, and just when I was starting to doubt the legitimacy of the monster tale, I stumbled upon a clearing. The moonlight filtered through the skeletal branches above, casting an eerie glow on the scene that lay before me. It was Emily. Her body was sprawled out in the center of the clearing, her cheerleader uniform stained with patches of dark crimson. Her eyes were wide open, staring into the void with an expression of pure terror frozen on her face. The sight was horrifying, a brutal testament to the fragile nature of life. I crouched down beside her, my heart pounding in my chest. The scene was gruesome, but the absence of any monstrous footprints or animalistic signs of attack was even more unsettling. There was no monster. The chilling realization washed over me like an icy wave. Emily's friends had spun a web of lies, painting an imaginary beast as the culprit of their heinous crime. I felt a knot in my stomach as the truth dawned on me. The real monster wasn't lurking in the shadows of the woods. It wasn't a creature of fangs and claws, but rather a product of jealousy and rivalry. The real monster was human, and it had been hiding in plain sight all along. The friends' inconsistent stories, their nervous glances, it all started to make sense. They had been trying to divert suspicion, to mask their guilt behind a tale of supernatural horror. But their deception was starting to unravel, and the true horror was beginning to surface. As I stood there amidst the deafening silence of the woods, I felt a shiver run down my spine. The true horror was not a beast lurking in the shadows, but the darkness that lurked within the human heart. It was a betrayal that ran deeper than any supernatural creature, a betrayal that was born out of jealousy, rivalry, and an unthinkable act of violence. The monstrous tale that had once seemed so daunting was now overshadowed by a far more terrifying reality. The true horror was a betrayal that ran deeper than any supernatural creature. As the investigation unfolded, it became clear that the motive behind Emily's murder was rooted in jealousy and rivalry among the cheerleading squad. The cheerleaders, once the epitome of high school unity and spirit, were revealed to be entangled in a web of envy and resentment. Emily, the squad star, had been the target of their growing animosity. The girls' stories began to fray at the edges, their lies unable to stand up to the relentless scrutiny of an experienced investigator. As I dug deeper, inconsistencies in their accounts emerged. Their timelines didn't align, their descriptions of the so-called monster contradicted each other, and their alibis were shaky at best. The turning point came when I discovered a series of text messages on one of the girls' phones. They painted a chilling picture of premeditated malice. The friends had planned to scare Emily, to teach her a lesson, they said. But the scare tactic had tragically spiraled out of control, leading to Emily's untimely death. As the truth came to light, the town of Ravenswood was left reeling. The girls were arrested, their youthful faces splashed across news outlets, their eyes wide with fear and regret. They had tried to create a monster to mask their own monstrous act, but in the end, the real monsters were revealed to be not lurking in the woods, but walking the halls of Ravenswood High. The cheerleaders' plan had been to divert suspicion, to create a tale so chilling that no one would dare to question it. But they underestimated the power of truth and the determination of an agent unwilling to let Emily's story fade into the annals of unsolved mysteries. Their deception unraveled under the scrutiny of a relentless investigation, a tale of jealousy, betrayal, and murder. The real horror was not a creature in the woods, but the darkness that can dwell in the hearts of those we least suspect. The woods, once a backdrop for a fabricated horror, now echoed with the real horror of human darkness. The trees, silent witnesses to the cruel act of betrayal, seemed to mourn the loss of innocence. The once vibrant playground of autumn leaves and youthful laughter was now a chilling reminder of a life cut short. The case of Emily's murder wasn't just another file in the cabinet. It was a stark revelation of the depths to which human jealousy and rivalry can plunge. The haunting image of Emily's lifeless body, her eyes frozen in a silent scream, was a chilling testament to the darkness that can lurk in the most unexpected places, not in the shadowy woods, but in the hearts of those we trust. The aftermath of the case was like a cold wind sweeping through the town of Ravenswood. The cheerleader's uniform, once a symbol of joy and camaraderie, was now a reminder of the tragedy. The Friday night football games were no longer the same. The cheers rang hollow, the spirit seemed lost, and every glance towards the cheerleading squad was a painful reminder of the friend they had lost. The friends who had spun the web of deception were brought to justice. But the punishment meted out by the law seemed insignificant compared to the guilt and regret that would be their lifelong companions. Their smiles were forever dimmed, their laughter forever tainted by the memory of their heinous act. The town of Ravenswood, once a quaint and peaceful place, was changed forever. Conversations in the local cafe, once filled with light-hearted banter, now carried undertones of sadness. Parents held their children a little tighter. Friends looked at each other with a little more suspicion. And the woods carried a silence that was almost deafening. The echoes of Emily's laughter, the memory of her cheerfulness, were now replaced with a haunting silence, a silence that served as a constant reminder of the cheerleader who was no longer among them. A silence that spoke volumes about the horror that unfolded on that fateful night. A town forever haunted by the memory of a cheerleader who never made it out of the woods alive. And so, our tale of the campfire horrors comes to an end. Until next time, sleep tight. Before we part ways, dear viewers, remember to stay vigilant. The campfire horrors may have been extinguished for now, but the embers of the unknown always remain. As you lay down to sleep tonight, don't forget the lessons from our tale. Safety is but a fleeting moment in a world of unseen. So, if you've enjoyed this journey into the abyss, don't forget to ring that bell and smash that like button. Do it before the thing under your bed decides to pay you a visit. Oh, and keep those night lights on. You never know what might be lurking in the dark. Thank you for embarking on this terrifying adventure with us. Until our paths cross again in another tale of the unknown. Goodbye and sweet dreams, if you can.